Good evening. My name is Brandon. I use they, them pronouns. It's a pleasure to be here tonight as the Chief Returning Officer again for the Nipissing University Student Union. As we gather tonight, I want to recognize that we're situated on the territory of Nipissing First Nation, the territory of the Anishinaabe, specifically within lands protected by the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850. And as we gather on lands, whether it's Anishinaabe or Haudenosaunee or Cree or Inuit or Mi'kmaq, here at Nipissing and across North Bay, as student organizers, student activists, folks hosting events, running clubs, or just studying in class, we all have responsibilities as treaty people. And within the context of these elections, the folks who sit on the board, on the Senate, on the Board of Governors, and at the executive table have a responsibility that I hope we'll all think about tonight as we discuss in this debate and in this election, responsibilities to the land and to each other. And so let's try and leave the place better than we found it, taking from the teachings of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum in the Toronto and Greater Golden Horseshoe, where we make sure, knowing that there's only one dish and one spoon that we all have to share, that there's enough for everyone, and that we don't take more than we need. So I hope you will all think about that in the spirit of tonight's debate. I want to go over just a quick few ground rules for audience members. There are various ways in which you can participate in this election. Voting is the most obvious one, but you can also talk with the candidates throughout the campaign. You can reach out to them on social media during the campaign period. You can check them out at their tables over by the bookstore. And you can also listen and watch in tonight. You can scan the QR code that's up on the screen if you want to pose a question. I should note that there will not be an opportunity to ask questions outside of what's posed in that form at tonight's debate. I have pre-prepared a few different questions, both specific to the role that the folks are running for, but also general questions that every candidate can answer. We've already received some really wonderful questions that I've done my best to incorporate into some prepared questions, making sure that they are fair to all candidates and that they can be posed in a way that isn't specific to the individual, but rather the role or the role of the executive body of NUSU. I think those are the main things. I should note that all the candidates have no electronics or pre-prepared notes on stage with them. They do have with them notepads if they want to take any notes throughout the debate. They have a pen and they have a water bottle. During the intermission that we'll have a bit later, they'll be able to go back down and review their notes. But they're operating on the fly here on the stage, to present their best case to you, the voters, and the folks at home. All of the orders have been randomly pre-selected, so there is fairness in making sure that no one starts or finishes too often, and it'll be fairly balanced throughout the debate. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce your candidates to you, and they're each going to get 3.5 minutes to introduce themselves to you, a bit about themselves and their platform, and speak to, hopefully their qualifications as a candidate, and then we'll get into some role-specific questions after that. So from left to right, we have here, we have Nicholas Botham, Logan Lloyd, Owen Ramillard, and Jaden Martin. I will have them come up one by one to do their opening introductions. We do have a timekeeper here in the front who will be holding up signs to help keep them on track. So again, I'm going to invite up the candidates one by one to do their opening statement, and I ask when you come up, please start with your name, pronouns, and the role that you are running for. Finally, I will note that all of the elections for executive director positions are uncontested, so it will be a yes, no, or abstain vote when you go to vote through the link that will be sent out when the voting period opens next week. So without further ado, I'm going to invite up Logan Lloyd, candidate for VP Campus Relations, and we have 3.5 minutes. And at any point, feel free to pause if you need. And you do not have to take the full time if you do not wish. Logan, the floor is yours. I just want to make sure that you hear me before I start. Correct. So my name is Logan Lloyd. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm running for VP Campus Relations. So in my second year, I'm doing Con Ed Intermediate Senior, so high school students. I'm doing biology and psychology double major. I just want to tell you a little bit about the Vice President Campus Relations position because we worked with them a little bit this year.
So this one, it focuses on academic advocacy for students. It'll focus on like petitions and things like that. And then also connecting students with Nipissing University faculty and the wider North Bay community. I'm running because I have been involved in advocacy since I was 10. It's always been something that's like super important to me. And I find it fulfilling and enjoyable. And I wanted to bring that to the students here at Nipissing, because I do think it is so important. I just want to tell you a little bit of story to express that to you. When I was in grade 5, I ran for student council at my school, in elementary school, about a decade ago. And for that, there were 2 people elected per grade. 3 people ran in my year, and I wasn't chosen. There was one person, they promised longer recess, and one person who promised a popcorn machine. I didn't know the word for advocacy. I told them that's what I'd be doing. I'd represent them, I'd fundraise for them. They didn't seem to like that. Popcorn and longer recess sound better. That didn't stop me. I volunteered, and then I ran again next year. And every year since then, I've been in positions to advocate for my peers. Student councils, until here eventually I got to Nipissing. I started as a student recruitment ambassador. So that's to talk at open houses and tours, represent Nipissing to prospective students. And I also got invited to speak at the Ontario University Fair in Toronto to talk to like a super wide audience there. I just want to switch gears now and talk about my platform, the 3 reasons why I'm running. The first one is that I want to encourage other folks to run. In the last 10 years, I have seen how important advocacy is. I've lived it, and I'm kind of disappointed and think that we can do better to have more choices in what we want to see as student leaders here. My goal is to have more people up here on the stage next year because I want to show you guys how valuable it is to have a voice. I want to focus on representation of us in the wider North Bay community because I want to focus on bigger issues. And the way to make a difference is to reach out to governments and things like that, people who have more say than we do. And then I want to help repair some of the feelings of disconnect that some students have come to me and spoken about, feeling that there's not always clear communication with NUSU, and I want to have open communication moving forward. So I just want to say thank you for having me up on the stage today, and voting will be February 2nd to 4th.
Thank you. So I will put this 3 allowed claps at the end of each statement, and then I would ask that all comments after the opening statements be held until the very end of closing statements. So that is to say, after each of these candidates, you may clap for this first round. After that, no claps, please, until the very, very end of the debate. I will now invite up Jaden Martin for candidate for VP Communications and Awareness. And again, with 3.5 minutes, name, pronouns, position, and please make sure to keep an eye on the front here for your team.
Awesome, thank you so much. So my name is Jaden Martin. I'm running for VP Communications and Awareness. I've been working with students since I was in grade 10. One of the biggest things I did when I was in high school was the mental health awareness aspects, and I was doing a lot of campaigning throughout my years in high school. Going into university, I worked in SAS, so Student Accessibility Services. I was a Dawn in different departments, Dawn and residence for the during the desk shifts, but also as a resident Dawn. I've also worked in the international office and a few other departments here at Nipissing University. And then I was luckily able to serve you guys as your VPAA, your Vice President Advocacy and Awareness for this current year. I love being your voice. I love hearing your concerns and being able to help you, support you, bring your concerns to the table with Nipissing and their committees and being your voice. And that's what I just love supporting you folks. Going into VP Communications and Awareness, That's more on the campaigning side, showing the supports, as well as overseeing our social media, which includes like the website, Instagram, Facebook. So I'm going to go into some of my goals that I have for the next upcoming year, which is first and foremost clear and transparent communication. I want to start off with the website. It's kind of janky. There's a lot of things I think can be improved upon, and I would love to kind of like rerun it with the team, making sure that you guys can actually find the supports that you guys would like, and to maneuver and actually see the supports you guys have available, because I bet there's so many supports that you folks may not be aware of, and it's just not visible to you guys. I also want to work on the social media part of it. One, getting more engagement with you folks so that we can understand what you guys are looking for, but also with what other things that the team is doing. I'm sure you guys have us on Instagram and see all the really fun events and really cool stuff, which is fantastic. But we also have so much more to provide you folks. And I'd love to show off other departments and aspects of our team to show you what NUSU is doing for you guys. My second goal is more campaigning. Last year, I campaigned on this collaboration, and I did successfully collaborate more with departments. I want to continue to build on that, but also collab on with athletics as well as more into residents. Because luckily, we're such a small university, so might as well take advantage of that and really build those supports, not just between the university and NUSU, but also with other areas as well on campus. And lastly, and my third and final goal is working on making employment opportunities and volunteering opportunities more accessible to each and every one of you. I want to try to break down and make it like, even these positions here, you have to kind of go through a lot of hoops and tasks to get involved. So I'd love to try to find ways to break it down, make it easier so that we can have more advocates on our campus. I want to make sure that you folks are able to get your ideas across. I want to make sure that every single student's voice is heard, and also to build up that resume. We're here for education, of course, but I know a lot of us want more voices and more ways to build up that resume. So I want to kind of break down those barriers so that each and every one of you can volunteer and get more employment on campus. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now invite up Nicholas Malcolm, candidate for VP Governance and Services. And again, you have 3.5 minutes. Please make sure to keep an eye on your timer at the front of the room and start with your name, pronouns, and the position you're seeking office.
Hi everyone, my name is Nicholas Malcolm. My pronouns are he, him. I'm running for Vice President of Governance and Services. So a little about me, I'm in my 4th year of mathematics. I'm doing minors in chemistry, psychology, and history. While I'm running, like I've always been one to get involved. In high school, I've had the most volunteer hours of my graduating class, primarily due to my work as a volunteer firefighter. Coming to university, my main goal was to be as involved as I can, such as I did OWE, I was a leader there. I've done student recruitment ambassadors, as well as ISMP, which is with our international department. I've worked at SLT as well. I've joined and ran many clubs, such as Relay for Life, as well as I created our bowling club that we have here. I've also had the honor of getting to be our NUSU's VP FA this year, and I really enjoyed that. I just want to continue my work. Some of my goals for this year is I want to continue my work with sponsorship. So last year I did a lot. I managed to secure some discounts. This year I want to try to do a lot more of that, as well as just see what I can do to provide more stuff for events and just for the students, because more sponsorships that we get is more stuff that we can get to you, as we pay more money. As for my next point is the health plan. So we just switched over to a new health provider this year, and I'm hoping that with this we can talk to students as well as to see like what coverage you guys want, as well as I know a lot of people, they don't know we have a health plan or know how to use it, and hopefully we can get this information out to our students more, because what's the point of paying for services when you don't even know about them? As for that, like there's also the opt-out. A lot of people don't know the opt-out, and it'd be lovely to kind of get the opt-out process a little bit easier so students know about that. My third point here is student groups. that's the new thing that's going to be on this position this year. Is I'm just hoping to increase how much students know about student groups, as well as like from my experience as a executive one that transitions from a new team. There can be a lot of confusion when it comes to a fully new team, definitely when the whole team graduates. I'm hoping that NUSU can be a little bit more involved that next year, helping with transitions that way, as well as the governance with student groups. That way, every student who's starting a student group or joining one kind of knows what they're doing, and it isn't just left on you guys to figure it out, and like people who know what they're doing can kind of assist with that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And last, our final candidate for this evening to present their introductory remarks is Omri Millard, candidate for VP Student Life. And again, 3.5 minutes. Keep an eye on your time. Name, pronouns, and position.
Hey Lucas, how are y'all doing? Yeah, good to hear. My name is Owen Rummelart, and I'm rerunning for Vice President Student Life for the upcoming year. Before I get started, I just want to give you all a little bit of context as to why I'm deciding to rerun again. So back in my first year, I had a soccer practical. It was a Tuesday. It was 8:30 a.m. It was cloudy. It wasn't very nice out. It's not the best weather. And I did give a presentation in my class. And so, I did that. I did that presentation. Then I was done. And the instructor coaching on the coach of the men's soccer team came up to me and said, "Hey, Owen, I got some feedback for you." I'm like, "Yeah, coach, what's up? What's up?" I have never, you know what he said? I have never heard someone have so much passion and dedication for something only worth 10% of your grade at 8:30 in the morning on a Tuesday in my life. So congratulations. I've never seen this before. That is exactly the energy and dedication I want to continue to bring to NUSU, as I have for the past 2 years in my various roles at NUSU. A little bit of background with that. I started, not last year, but the year before, as a student center assistant. Can't actually remember the years. I've been at BPSL for the last year before. I was the student center assistant, so I worked at NUSU for a combined 2 years now, between my two roles, and I've been heavily involved in a bunch of planning and execution of several events, which is one of the main things which I'm going to touch on in a second. But first, one of the most important parts of my role is orientation. This is the sole thing I focus on basically for the first 4 months of my role, and I want to continue to once again provide an awesome and amazing outcome. This past year, we had more registration than any of the 4 previous years I've previously been involved in. We had more student turnout at every single event, and that it isn't all attributed to me. Obviously, it's my whole team. We set it all up and we executed it wonderfully, and I want to continue the excellent work that we did last year and present a super strong as we begin moving forward. My second goal, which I'm campaigning on, is to just connect with as many students as I possibly can. There are about 5,000 students roughly that attend the university, half online, half in person, and I guarantee every single one of you can have at least one idea that would help improve student life for every single student on campus. So my main goals are to connect with students. By doing that, I love talking to people. I love getting feedback. My emails are always open. You can always DM me. I'm always interested to hear students' ideas, and then I want to take your feedback and put it into action. And that comes into my third point. I want to increase awareness around events. I want to increase the events we do. I want to switch it up a little bit as well, offer some different events. We've already kind of stepped into that path for a little bit this year. We've had some different events such as the Harvest Moon, which one of our amazing student center assistants headed up. I want to continue to expand issues capabilities in those departments. We've done some more out of town events this year, and I want to continue to really take the feedback that I get from students and apply that directly because I'm the VP Student Life, but you're the students. It's your life that I want to make as best as I possibly can here. So that's another one of my main goals. So thank you all so much for coming out tonight. Enjoy the pizza, and I look forward to answering the rest of the questions. Thank you so much, Lakers.
Thank you. We are going to pause for a brief moment. We need to readjust the podium to ensure that our taller candidates' heads do not get cut off in the video. So we're going to do that. It'll just take us a moment. While we're doing that, if you want to grab more snacks or food or drinks, please do. And I shouldn't be the one testing the height thing because I'm tall.
Yes.
No snack. Very close.
There we go. Thank you for bearing with us. Okay, so we're now going to move on to the second portion, really the first round of this debate. And this is role-specific questions. So these have all been paired with the specific roles before you in mind. So each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to the question. Only candidates for that role can answer, and each candidate is going to respond to 2 questions specific to their role. So just to let you know, the order of the first question will be Logan, Jaden, Nicholas, and then Owen. So I'm going to pose the question, and then Logan, I will have you come up just in a second. So this is for the Vice President Campus Relations. The first question is on academic advocacy or advocacy and student trips. Students often experience university policies and decisions as confusing, inconsistent, or difficult to challenge. As VP Campus Relations, how would you strengthen advocacy so students feel supported, informed, and taken seriously when raising concerns or petitions? So I'll invite you to come up to the podium, and you have 2 minutes to respond.
Policies are confusing. I remember when I was coming to North Bay and trying to figure out what my program was and picking classes and looking for everything, it is hard. So I think that having more supports in academic advising, they're there to help you with like course selection, but also like talk about what things are going on behind the scenes too. If you're having problems keeping up on a course, or other things like that, what you have to do academically. There's people there to talk to. I'm doing more to highlight what kinds of things academic advising does, and then what you would come to me for, so that I can help connect you with supports talking to like faculty and things like that. Because it's not super clear who you talk to for what, and oftentimes it's hardest to take that first step to making it clear what you have to do when. I think it'll allow fewer steps forward, and you can feel more supported in what you have to do.
Thank you. And so I will move on to the second question. So you're going to have to go back up in a moment. So this is for VP Campus Relations, and it's regarding external advocacy. So NUSU regularly engages with university, government, and external partners, but does not necessarily hold final decision-making power. How would you approach advocacy when NUSU disagrees with an institutional or government decision? And how would you communicate those limits honestly to students? And again, 2 minutes to respond.
Those limitations are something that I do recognize. I've mentioned it in my platform that there is only so much we can do. But the way forward on working some of the big issues that students face and they're really worried about is connecting with governments and other external like institutions. So I think often it's going to be petitions, and there's 5 students here at Nipissing. All of us have a voice, and being able to all stand together and be represented, we're going to have a lot more power that way if we're all kind of united and knowledgeable on what we can all work together on, instead of all thinking about problems and ways to solve them, but not coming forward with ways to solve them. If we're all working individually, it's a lot harder. So coming with petitions and showing that these are real concerns that students have, that's what I want to prioritize in this role.
Thank you. Next up, I will invite Jaden. Yeah, I'm going to invite up Jaden now. And this is for VP Communications and Awareness. So this question is on communication, transparency, and credibility. Some students feel that NUSU communications can be vague, delayed, or unclear during difficult situations. As VP Communications and Awareness, what standards would you set for transparency, tone, and timing when communicating major updates to students? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Thank you for the question, and I would agree. The communication can be fought. I found there was a lot of struggles this year as well, and I know that that gets reflected to all you folks. First off, and I know I mentioned this a little bit earlier, is the website. So I want to rebuild that to make it more clear. One of the things that hasn't been done for quite a few years now is posting our board of directors meeting minutes on our website. That is one of the best ways I can communicate what's going on behind the scenes at NUSU, so you folks can be better understanding of what's actually going on, because those give us all of the exec positions kind of reports, monthly reports, what big decision conversations are. All of that needs to be provided to you folks, and they just haven't been. So I want to make sure to find a routine to make sure that after our board meetings, we can create the minutes, make sure that they're all good to go, get them approved by our board, and then immediately post it so you guys can see what's going on. The other thing I want to do with the website in particular, and also on our social media, is when we're working on initiatives, I would like to create a page where you can see kind of a list of what we've been working on, and maybe have like a green for complete, like orange for still working on, and red for delayed, and then provide reasons of why that may be being delayed. So those are like two main ideas that I have I want to implement. Just again, this will really help be nice and clean, organized, color coded, to make sure that you guys know kind of how the operations are working behind the scenes, and making sure that you guys can fully see what we're up to.
Now for the second question. This is on Senate representation and awareness. As Chief Student Senator, how would you ensure that decisions and discussions at the Academic Senate are meaningfully communicated back to students, and that student academic concerns are effectively represented in that space?
So much time to get this down. Sorry. So yes, Senate, and for folks who don't know, Academic Senate is one of the committees that Nipissing has, and we are student senators that sit on it. We represent your voice, and that's where all like academic policies and information and things that your courses go through to and get approved. I would love to again, it's kind of matches with the communication aspect as well, as I would love to start posting more stuff that goes on with Senate, because it does impact your classes. So again, just having that transparency there and always having it showcased and accessible to folks on our website. And then again, any major changes, I also would like to create Instagram posts. So then again, really putting out that campaigns and touching on advocacy side as well. Just so then one, you can easily find it on the website, but two, you can, as you're scrolling and maybe you're not really thinking of that on the forefront, it's still there so you guys can be educated with what's going on. And then my next thing is that if students are engaged and looking at our social medias and looking at our website and they have questions and they have concerns, I have office hours, 20 hours a week throughout the school year, and I would love to sit down with any student if they have questions, concerns, thoughts, and just want more clear understanding. You come find me. We'll email the email, and we can set up a time so we can have those discussions. And if you have concerns, I would love to bring them to Senate and the other committees, because I was originally a part of many committees. It's now going to be a bit different going into these different positions now, but I would love to hear your voice as we can get those questions answered, so you guys can have the supports that you are deserving of, and make sure that your voice gets heard, not just with NUSU, but also with Nipissing. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now invite up Nicholas, and this is for Vice President Governance and Services, role-specific questions. The first question is on governance, oversight, and accountability. Concerns have been raised about governance clarity and accountability within NUSU, particularly around how decisions are made and explained to students. What governance or policy tools would you prioritize to improve oversight, consistency, and trust in decision-making? And again, 2 minutes to respond.
So obviously, those concerns are very real, and obviously not everyone knows what is. Okay, just start there a little bit. Obviously not everyone knows what goes on behind closed doors in NUSU. Well, as Jaden did mention, actually, our board meeting minutes would be really helpful, getting the reasoning and all that behind our decisions, as well as decisions that are made, as well as just having like clear communication with students would be definitely one of the strongest things, making sure bigger decisions are known to students, but the reasoning behind it, and like as I said, like the board, all of our decisions are like made by the board or the exec, and like anything like that does get included in those meetings, and so should be posted, but as well as like it would be great to have those more open on our website or Instagram, or just let students know about that.
Thank you. And the second question is on financial decisions and student impact. Decisions related to services and operations, including closures and funding changes, can have significant impacts on student and staff at NUSU. As VP Governance and Services, how would you ensure financial decisions are both responsible and clearly communicated to the student body and staff?
So yeah, obviously like a big thing that happened this year that we can directly like relate is the restaurant like closure. And for decisions like that, it does a lot that will come down to financials, and typically those decisions aren't just made by the executives, those will tend to get brought to the board to be voted on, things like that. And with any sort of financial decision, obviously it's great to have students commit in that, and I would love if we could provide more like financial information to our students so they can see why or like what decisions can be made, or like what is the best route to go with things. Because if the students don't know about the reasoning behind things, then you're just going to see what happens, and you won't actually be able to like put the reasoning behind it. Yeah, I think hopefully that answers it.
Thank you. And for the final role-specific questions, we'll be going to our Vice President Student Life candidate. Oh, no. This first question is on student engagement and inclusion. Some students have expressed feeling disconnected from NUSU events or believe programming caters to a limited group. How would you, as VP Student Life, design programming that is inclusive and diverse, accessible, and reflective of the broader student population? And again, 2 minutes to respond.
Absolutely. Sorry, all good. Yeah, I've actually heard some students voice that opinion since I've been in office. And one thing that I'm looking to continue to improve on is I need to really think outside my own box. Like I love sports, I love being active, but I am not here for me. I'm here for all of you. So I need to continue to think outside the box and really find ways to innovate events. And honestly, as one of my campaign goals is to connect with students. It's very, very important to have these conversations with students, to get their opinions, and then, connect all the dots of all the opinions we get, and then really put forth the events that students want to hear and students want to see. Some things like that we've done differently this past year is we listened to some feedback from students. We expanded our Night Owls program. We typically used to have it only be like 2 times a week during midterms and exam seasons. We upped it to at least roughly 3 per week. So instead of just 4, we've got 6. That was a suggestion I heard from a student that I directly impacted, and directly implemented. And I want to continue to implement those kinds of things for students. Because the students are the whole reason why every single one of us are here today, and the whole reason why I'm doing this once again is for you folks. So my plan is to connect with as many students as I possibly can in as many ways as I can to raise awareness for what we do, so that I know exactly what every single one of you want to see, and connect all the dots. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And the second question for VP Student Life candidate is on operations, volunteers, and sustainability. Orientation and student events rely heavily on planning, volunteers, and coordination. What would you prioritize to ensure NUSU's programming is sustainable, well-supported, and respectful of both volunteers and staff's capacity?
Absolutely. Obviously, NUSU needs to remain sustainable. We're not just here for 1 year, we're here for every single year for the students. So something that I know we already currently do that I want to continue to do well is to obviously prioritize the resources that we get. So I don't want to just buy, let's say, I don't want to just buy this pen for this one event. I want this pen to be used at every single event we can possibly use moving forward. Obviously, not this specific. You all get the point. So it's really important to think about what I want to do for the whole entire year, what NUSU could do in the future, and then lay those plans out specifically. Now, if you can do that, you can provide sustainability to students. Another pathway that you could look at when it comes to sustainability, once again, it's just connecting with students and seeing what they want to hear. Obviously, things change from year to year. There's been trends that adjust. Every single year I've been here. One thing this year is that I've seen studies on online is that students are looking for more events that are supporting to them, that are more low key and like less loud. Because like, who wants to get out of bed on, I don't know, a snowy Thursday and go do something loud and exciting? Where sometimes people just want to be felt, sometimes people just want to be heard, sometimes people just want to have a place they can come relax with their friends. So I want to look to continue to monitor the trends on campus as well as in the greater world, so I can continue to offer programming that will suit all the student needs.
Thank you. So that concludes our role-specific questions round. We will now head into a 15-minute break. So we are going to come back to the debate stage at 6:55, and we will get started with a speed round of questions. Feel free to enjoy any of the snacks, beverages, or pizza at the back, and we'll see you then. You may now go check your devices or any pre-written notes you have off stage. Oh. Oh, yeah, interesting. We can all understand.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
You can just say it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So as we get started with the speed round, which is a new introduction this year, or a new feature this year, I want to note that the folks online, since you will not be able to actually see the candidates answering with their colorful placards, yes, no, or maybe, we will tell you at the end of each question how they answered. So we will ask them to hold their placards up. So for this round, I'm going to read off a statement, and the candidates will hold up their placard. They're color coded. That's a yes, no, or maybe. If they answer yes or no, they do not get to speak on why they answer that. It's just yes or no. If they answer maybe, out of the true, honest goodness of their heart, they can come up and explain why they answered maybe if they choose for up to 20 seconds. So we have 5 pre-prepared questions. We thought we would just liven up and do it a little bit differently. This, kind of pushes our candidates to be succinct and to really think about their answers. Okay, everyone ready? Okay, statement 1. Most students clearly understand what NUSU does and how to access its services and events. Go. Okay, so I'm going to let the folks online know. And this again, the question or the statement is most students clearly understand what NUSU does and how to access its events and services. Nicholas answered no. Logan answered yes. Owen answered maybe. And Jaden answered yes. So now we only had one candidate who answered maybe. So Owen, you have up to 20 seconds to explain why it's a maybe.
I answered maybe because so I've done some class talk so far, and when I do them, I ask right at the start, I'm like, hey, y'all know, understand what NUSU is and what we do. Most people put up their hand, but I don't think people fully understand the depth of what we do, and that's exactly what I know I want to help continue with these conversations with students moving forward in the upcoming year.
Thank you. We'll now move on to statement 2. Everyone ready? Statement 2, strong collaboration between executives, staff, and volunteers is essential to NUSU's success. And go. Everyone answered yes. For everyone online, all the candidates answered yes. We'll move on to statement 3. It is better for NUSU to be honest about the limits of its influence than to overpromise outcomes. And go. Everyone answered yes. And statement 5, I should have had more prepared, but this is good. Hold on for next year. Statement 5, student life programming should balance advocacy, education, and fun, not prioritize only one. And go. And everyone answered yes again. Thank you to our candidates for that speed round. There we go. So we will now move on to the general question phase, which is going to be questions that all candidates will answer. Many of these questions are informed by audience submissions, which have been filtered through. Ones that have already been responded to are kind of repetitious or overlapping with other questions. I, as a moderator, have done my best to incorporate the spirit of those into questions already posed, as well as ones that were about to pose. So again, the orders for these have been predetermined. Candidates will have 2 minutes to respond, and every candidate will respond to each question. We are actually going to have 5 questions because we got a kind of last minute submission that was quite strong. So we're going to start, and we'll have Logan, Jaden, and Nicholas, and Owen for this first question. Please hold your head with us. Okay. So all candidates are going to answer this one.
So this first question is on trust and accountability. What does accountability look like in a student union when decisions don't land well with students? And how should executives respond in those moments? And again, we'll have Logan, then Jaden, then Nicholas, then Owen. Logan, you have 2 minutes. And if you need, I can repeat questions.
So, I think for us as a student union, accountability is realizing that we are students. We're still learning. We're still young. Mistakes probably are going to happen. And instead of focusing on the fact that they have happened, we want to look at the impact that those mistakes have, mitigating the damage that happens with those, and then focusing on working forward and making sure that they don't happen again. So I think the best response is to take an understanding that there was a mistake, and focus on what to change because of it.
Jaden,
Sorry, guys. So yes, I think the best way to go forward on like a mistake and communicating it is being honest, fully transparent. I mean, it's your guys' money. You're paying the union to be there for you folks. And when a mistake happens, I think it's good to give updates. I mean, sometimes a decision or an issue doesn't just get resolved within one day. I wish it could, but unfortunately, it doesn't usually end up working like that. So I think giving updates saying, hey, we realized this happened, and then from there, building on why we made our decisions like that, what impacted it, so then you guys can be fully aware of our mistakes, but also how we're going to move forward. So when an issue happens, it's not just like it's going to end there. We want to be resilient and also move forward with the knowledge and awareness of those mistakes and doing better moving forward, and using hopefully positivity and awareness when moving towards those issues and mistakes don't happen again. Thank you.
Nicholas,
So obviously, we're a student union and we're all students, so mistakes get made, that's part of life. But obviously, the one thing is don't hide it. We won't be hiding any mistakes. Students, you're all students. You have the right to know when something goes wrong, and then obviously the best way to go about it is just go correct it. As Judy mentioned, things don't get fixed right away, but only just keep building to the right solution. Always keep moving forward, and things happen, but always try to do what's right at the end of the day.
Owen,
I think it's very important to be aware of the repetition, be aware of what happens when a mistake is made. I've made lots of mistakes in my current role. I will be the first one to admit that. I made a mistake when it came to a student group's election. I made a mistake when it came to a different student group's problem. And I think the way I attacked that problem was by, doing my research on the situation, seeing what's going on, and then implementing a solution. A solution is going to be to fix our student policy. That's something I worked on in the summer, and something that I want to continue to improve upon. For NUSU overall, as many of the other candidates mentioned, it's very important to take accountability for mistakes that are made, and then move forward from those mistakes, and then provide the outcome of those mistakes. Transparency is key, and I would love to continue to provide that for any mistakes that are made. And for me specifically, since my role is a lot about events, let's say I hold an event and it comes to somebody show up. I would look into see, okay, maybe what went wrong. Was it the way I marketed it? Did I just completely miss the boat on this is something the student wants, the student wants? And look into that, and then be like, all right, for next time, this is what I would change, and then I implement that the next time it comes around. That is something I would look to continue to do moving forward, and encourage that across all of us. Now, earlier today, I was sitting at my campaign table, actually, and I had a thought. I thought, as Lynn mentioned, I want to continue to, interact with students and be like, I want to provide a time where all students can sit down with all the execs, potentially in the hallway over like the bookstore for an hour a month and say, okay, this is your sit down time with the execs. Anyone can come by and voice anything they want. So I want to continue to implement, or I want to try to implement things like that for transparency and for students to share their ideas. So yeah.
We will now move on to our second general question, and the order this time will be Nicholas, Owen, Logan, and then Jaden. And this question is on student engagement. Many students feel disengaged from the student union elections and governance processes. Beyond encouraging turnout, what concrete steps would you take to make student participation feel meaningful year-round and in elections? And again, we'll start with Nicholas. You have 2 minutes.
So obviously, the more engagement in student governance, the better. Like, we want our students' voice to be heard. So like, a lot of it can come down to advertisement and just knowledge on like what they're getting involved in. Because a lot of the time, people come into student positions like this and they don't know what they're doing, they don't know what it is, or a lot of the time people don't want to do it because they don't really know what they're going for. They don't know what the job entails. So like, just trying to like let students know more about like what these positions, what student positions are available to them, how they can get involved, and just let them know that this is an option and it's something that is needed because it can actually benefit their time here at school.
Thank you, Owen. I think it's important to continue to share awareness surrounding the elections, surrounding everything we do at NUSU. One thing I would like to continue to work on this year is to have more promotion of like specifically what events are doing. Our events team and marketing team has had an incredibly strong year when it comes to showing what's going on. But maybe there's been a time where a student has asked us a question and we only responded to that one student. It might not be a bad idea for every single person to potentially know to know what the answer is. Because let's say if one person has that question, I'm sure other people probably did as well. Speaking of awareness with like what's going on at NUSU, we are all here for you. If NUSU is for the students by students, so obviously we want we want all students' opinion about what's going on. So if I would strongly encourage students to, and I say this to every student I interact with, if there's something that they're curious about, reach out to us. We are always happy to answer your questions. All of us check our emails every single day. You'd be surprised how many we get. When we get back from being out of office, I guarantee you probably get 250, 300. I'm really looking forward to getting in there and answering some student questions. So it's super important to reach out to your executives. We're here for you. We're here for every single one of you. So, and I would love to continue doing that for another year once again. So thank you.
Thank you. And now Logan.
Could you be able to repeat your question?
The question is on student engagement. Many students feel disengaged from student union elections and governance processes. Beyond encouraging turnout, what concrete steps would you take to make student participation feel meaningful during elections and year-round?
I want to show students what a day in the life of an exec looks like, because I don't think that we all recognize how important what like these rules are, and being able to show what decisions get made in the day, what things we have to think about in the day, and understanding just how important electing someone capable and honest and who is able to make those decisions with like a high degree of fidelity, that you can trust, you'll be able to realize just how much your vote matters and how important governance is.
Thank you. And finally, Jaden.
Sorry, once again. Governance is not just once a year when elections come and rolling around. One thing I would like to do is if the campaigns is bring it up again more so throughout the year. Like I said in my intro, I want to on social medias and the website, I want to showcase more than just the events, but what we're actually doing behind the scenes, and that includes governance. So I really want to make sure that it's accessible and easy to access and understand and learn, kind of break that stigma of it being such a daunting task and thing to look at. The next thing is with our board of directors, I want to make sure, again, it's kind of it's my third point on my platform, is to get make it more accessible for students to join the board of directors and not just have to like campaign and be directly a board member, but also sit on a board as like a non-voting member, so we can still hear a wide variety of students' input and ideas, because again, each and every student I believe has all kinds of wonderful ideas that we don't know about yet, and I'm excited to hear that. And then also with working with the board of directors, I want to make sure that they are able to work in with our policies, give them more tasks, and so really like more hands-on work, so they get to learn while they're in this position. And then from there, I really hope that this becomes a gateway to get comfortable with governance. So like I said, make it more accessible for people to become board of directors, give them more hands-on work, and then hopefully build from there, and then become maybe one of the executives or something to that idea. So again, it's just building that education and breaking down that stigma. And I think how you start off is through our social media platforms and website. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will now move on to the next question. And the order of this question will be Jaden, Logan, Owen, and then Nicholas. And this is on collective leadership. What does strong teamwork among executives look like in practice, especially when there are disagreements or competing priorities? And I will invite up Jaden, and you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. So first off, like meeting and having like in-person conversations is, I think, the #1 way to go. I want us to collab together, not just on like sharing what we've been up to, but again, we're a very, very small team, and it is, like we all said yes to in the speed round, it's so utterly important to work alongside each other and making sure that one of our voices are heard. We're here to collaborate. We're here to make sure that the best university experience for you guys is as the best product that we can give you folks. When it comes to conflict, ideally you want to talk to them, because I don't think there's such thing as like a wrong idea or a wrong way of doing things. It's about just really having those conversations, productive conversations, and ensuring that ideas are heard, things are thought through, and again, having the mindset of the student at heart, which I think we all will have. So it's just, again, like I said, about that communication, collaboration is so important, and just utilizing our resources to the best of our ability to give you guys the best supports.
Thank you, Logan.
I think it's important to recognize that the people running for executive positions are people. We're all going to have strengths and weaknesses, things we prefer, things we don't. Obviously, we're running for positions that are hopefully complementing our individual strengths and weaknesses, but we're also going to be able to work together, ideally, to be able to work together as a team and complement each other, and bring forward the best thing that we can for students. Sometimes there will be competing interests, but I think it's going to be because of what our roles are bringing. We have to make sure that obviously we're all representing students, and it's not personal thoughts and opinions. It's all in the mind of what's best for the students, and keep ourselves out of it and focus on this.
Thank you, Owen.
It is always important when having conversations, because sometimes these conversations are difficult. Yeah, conversations like this aren't always easy, and it's incredibly important to be aware of how you're presenting yourself and how you are appearing to others, especially when you work with these people basically every single day for a whole year. So it's important to be aware of how you're presenting yourself, and it's important to speak up when, like, if I have an opinion on something, I'm going to share it. It's important to obviously share said opinions and then also receive the other people's feedback, and then take all of that together, come up with the best solutions collectively, and then present that. That's something that as an executive team we've been working on this year, and I want to obviously continue strong work with that moving forward, as well as highlighting why those decisions are made. differing opinions happen all the time. That's how life goes. We all need to know that. But I do always constantly love to remind everyone on the team that we are here for the students. Without you folks, we wouldn't be here. Everything wouldn't be here. None of us would be here today. We'd all be doing something else somewhere else. So you students are the most important reason why we're here. And that's why we need to make our decisions moving forward. And I love to think about that constantly in every single thing I do. And when the team often, if team conflict does arise, I remind everyone, hey, listen, we're not here for us. We're not here for you. We're not here for anything students. So keeping that in mind is the most important thing.
Thank you. And Nicholas. Certainly, I can repeat the question. This is on collective leadership. What does strong teamwork amongst executives look like in practice, especially when there are disagreements or competing priorities?
So obviously, I know there'll be a lot of meetings, and at the end of the day, disagreements aren't a bad thing. Disagreements are typically not, like, they're good. Like, it would be awful if your student years old where you don't see anything all the time. But if the disagreements do come up, the best option is just talk it out. Not everyone knows everything. Some people are stronger in other subjects than other people. And as long as everyone piles the resources together and piles their knowledge and thinks the students first, and we produce a solution to this disagreement that is students first, then I would say that's the best way for our executives to do things.
Thank you. So this next question will go in the order of Owen, then Nicholas, then Jaden, and then Logan. And this is on equity and inclusion. How can NUSU ensure that equity and inclusion efforts are meaningful and ongoing, rather than symbolic and one-off initiatives? Owen.
Sorry, I'm so much more used to doing this than I am to just sitting there with it in my hand. Obviously, something that is incredibly important is equity and inclusion, and I think that it's incredibly important for us. As I learned, I went to a conference back in June, and there was one of the speakers there, and one thing that he mentioned was small, consistent actions. So these are things that are incredibly important. So this could look like, let's say we have an equity campaign going on in NUSU. Stick to that. We don't just, as Brandon mentioned, we don't just have this as a one-off thing. We have this as a small, consistent action that we look to continue working on throughout the year. Obviously, that starts by getting student feedback and then implementing that, or us doing our research on the student body and implementing that. There's all kinds of ways we can go about doing things like that, but it's incredibly important to, basically, it's important to stick to what we say and continue to do what we do rather than just to do it one time, because nothing we do at NUSU should be for show. It should be for intent, and it should be for the students' benefit. So it's fair to say like that.
Thank you. Nicholas. The question is on equity and inclusion. How can NUSU ensure that equity and inclusion efforts are meaningful and ongoing, rather than symbolic and one-off initiatives?
So obviously, like, we've got to always think of all students first, whether that's just your general crowd or just everyone. Like, every student needs to be included in everything that we do, not just planning things for one group of people. It comes to inclusive programming, inclusive campaigning, and just making sure everyone feels supported in the way they need to be supported. And just keeping it consistent, like doing your research, making sure that everything that we put out is available for everyone.
Thank you. Jaden.
So I think it starts off with breaking the stigma. So the best way I can do that in this position is, of course, by campaigning and doing initiatives and awareness. And I don't mean that just in with NUSU, but again, with collaboration with other departments in this building, as well as athletics and with residents, really making that cohesive, like, build up, not just with our organization, but all of campus, to really feel like we're in an inclusive space, because the line doesn't end at NUSU crossing the road. It is like a bubble, and I want to make sure that we can have the best inclusive environment on campus and even reaching into the North Bay community. So like I said, I think the first thing is breaking stigma, starting conversations, and making it a safe space. I also believe that having like consistency, having those follow-ups, those updates, making sure that students' voices and you folks who like know that it wasn't just that one time we had that campaign a couple months ago. No, it's something that we are proactive, currently working on and showcasing what we've been working on, which again leans towards my website idea of having all those initiatives in one space, so you folks can see that we're still actively working on it. It's not something we've forgotten about. And again, like I said already as well, with our board of directors, making sure that all voices are heard. Having a good board of directors who are voting members, but also outreaching to other departments, even like such as OII, for example, like having Indigenous folks coming onto our board, so that we can hear their inputs and really make sure that everybody has a voice in those big decision-making processes that we have at NUSU.
Thank you. And now we will have a Logan.
So we have to recognize that everyone's coming with different experiences. We have 5,000 students and a lot of them are online. So making sure that things are accessible in person and online. And that, yes, student feedback is super important, but there might be a population of students who don't feel comfortable or just can't make it to North Bay to come to certain office hours, or they don't know where to get our email addresses. So making sure that everything is accessible to everyone, because we want to hear every voice, because every voice matters. So just make sure that everyone feels comfortable to make their voice heard, and then that we use what we're hearing from the students to make ourselves and our initiatives and programs available.
Thank you. We will go on to our final general question of the evening. So the order will be Jaden, Nicholas, Owen, and then Logan. So in 2019, the provincial government in Ontario implemented something called the Student Choice Initiative. This initiative temporarily caused many student unions to lose a large number of fees. While a successful court battle put an end to that conversation, recently the provincial government introduced something known as Bill 33, which passed in December. It's expected to take full effect this year, with regulations to be implemented sometime this spring and come into effect in the fall. Should those regulations significantly limit student union fee revenue, how should NUSU respond? And what principles should guide decision-making in a reduced capacity environment for the student union?
Sorry, do you mind just repeating that last bit of the question?
Sure. If those regulations significantly limit student union fee revenue, how should NUSU respond? And what principles should guide decision-making in a reduced capacity environment for the student union? And so again, the order is Jaden, Nicholas, Owen, then Logan. Jaden, you have 2 minutes.
All right, ending the debate with a bang. I like it. So for folks who don't know, Bill 33 did come into effect. It is unclear if it's actually going to be in effect for this year or in 5 years from now. So again, this is a lot of, not to say what if, because of course we need to be prepared. And I know currently we've had multiple conversations, not just with NUSU, but also with the university, trying to figure out where do we lie with these student fees. So first, we have to keep an ear on everything, do a lot of our research as things come out, which is very flexible as of right now because we just don't know and we don't have the information yet. But overall, I would want to communicate with the university and see how we can work together so that we can still have a student union, because of course, student unions are very, very important to have. And then also having like focus groups. I would want to bring in as many students as possible to get your input in to see where you folks want NUSU to be if that comes into effect. I want a lot of conversations on how to manage our resources. And again, there's a lot of variables at stake with not having the information currently. But again, like knowing how to reuse our resources, using our storage space, and knowing what our building can offer, as well as what we actually have already in storage, and we're using them so that we're saving the money So then hopefully you guys aren't kind of the folks who are spending the money in the ancillary fees isn't like getting way upcharged. And ultimately what I'm trying to say is there's so many varieties and variations of what this could be. So it's a really, really difficult question to answer, but ultimately I would put it back to the students using our campus and our community to help support us, because again, we are very, very important and we're here to support you folks. So it's really just about how we can move on and navigate during tough times with the envision that you students have. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas.
So, Bill 33 is a big concern of NUSU's and every other student union right now. CFS has been one of the biggest supporters to try get this bill dealt with and is helping all student unions figure out what the next steps are. Luckily, NUSU has a great relationship with the school, and while it is just talking to school, talking CFS, talking amongst NUSU, and just figuring out what is our best steps, and just preparing ourselves for the what if, as well as like obviously encouraging students not to like opt out of our student union fees and making sure they're aware of what services are provided to them if they still have this. As well as just having a backup budget prepared. So like obviously we can't be affecting how we look at things on a what if, but it's always helpful to have something just in case. And then if the case happens where the funding does decrease, like focus on what students need, and then like you can always practice low cost activities, low cost expense, but like spend the money where it's needed most.
Thank you. Owen?
So NUSU should obviously respond by being proactive, which currently we're working on. We're taking steps to gauge the situation. We're taking steps to connect with members of the university, to connect with our contacts at CFS, and we're actively working on staying as up to date as we possibly can with what's going on with Bill 33. Every 2 weeks, we have meetings with the ADP students over here at Nipissing, Sarah Taylor, and this is something that gets brought up every time we have our meetings together. So we are fully aware, both of us, about what is going on from the government side, what's going on from the university side, because there's a chance they could hear something before we could, and then they would share that with us, and then how to take steps to actually put what we hear into plan. So for me, I'll focus specifically more on the event side. I will work double hard to make sure that student event programming doesn't suffer in lieu of less costs. This could look like having reduced budgets compared to what we used to have in the past. So that would just have to be savvy shopping. We would just obviously shop the deals whenever we can, which is something we already try to do, but just doubling down on those kinds of things. Another thing would be to potentially offer a smaller amount of programming, but put more into every single program that we do offer. Obviously, that wouldn't be ideal, but it would be a way to conserve money. And as some of your candidates have mentioned, it's incredibly important to manage resources. We would have to double down on reusing what we already have. We already know exactly what we have in our building, but plan events around what we have and what we currently can do, which would be more work. Obviously, that I'm prepared and ready for that, as I'm here for all of you folks. So yes, something that's also important is to make students aware of where their money goes exactly and what we put into events. So I would look to make sure that happens moving forward as well as currently right now. So yeah.
Thank you. And Logan?
I would want to make sure that students recognize that the limitations that are imposed on us, because if Bill 33 wouldn't be like NUSU's decision, there would be restrictions from other things, because the last thing I would want to see is students pull away from NUSU because they think that we don't care. I think a lot of our focus would be on sustainability, getting sponsorships from the community to try and continue working in the way that NUSU does as much as it can. And then once we understand the impacts that Bill 33 is having and have concrete, real examples of what's going on if enacted in September, really use that to show the people making the decisions behind Bill 33 what a horrible impact it would have on the lives of students. I would also remind the students that we have our Board of Governors. I can't promise there will be by-elections in September, but the way that elections have gone now, it looks like there will be. And that will be a way that students can have a real voice what happens at NUSU for us to be able to make those important decisions on what's going on and how we would do it.
Thank you. Before we head to closing remarks on this last question, I do want to note that you can go to handsoffoуreducation.ca. You can sign an email at Twitter to the government and stay up to date on the effects of this legislation as more information is available. And I will now move on to closing remarks. So for closing remarks, each candidate, again, will be in a pre-selected order. They'll have 2 minutes for their closing remarks. But this will be their last opportunity, at least at this debate, to say anything that they want to bring up, closing thoughts, or summarize their campaign goals. Candidates will go in the following order: Owen, Nicholas, Jaden, and then Logan. And after that, I'll provide some closing remarks on the debate before we let you know about what's coming up for the rest of the elections. So Owen, the floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. Once again, I really just want to iterate how much it means for me to be able to serve all of you folks. This is something I've been working towards every single year I've been here at Nipissing. In my very first year, after my first Owls Week, I was a participant at that point, obviously. I said, you know what, Owen, one day I'm going to be that guy, the VP Student Life. And I put that into action 2 years after that. I am so incredibly passionate about every single thing I do at NUSU, and I love putting on events. It really brings me, it does not bring me, nothing brings me, almost nothing, maybe other than the Oilers winning the championship, brings me more joy than seeing smiling and happy faces after an event. And every single time that happens, it brings me so much joy inside. So I want to continue that. I want to continue connecting with students. That is something I'm really looking to do excellently better this year. Obviously, as many events as possible. We all know we love Sexy Bingo, so we'll keep that rolling, obviously. And I really just love serving students so much. It brings me so much passion and joy. And I can confidently say that this has been an absolutely incredible year so far. And I've enjoyed every single minute of it throughout my term. So I would really love for all of you to see the work I've done, to see the work I've promised to do next year, and to be back in. So keep your emails open February 2nd and 4th. Institutional planning and analysis is the inbox of the email from. I know it's a little scary to look at. I remember seeing it in my first year being like, how is that? But that's what it'll be from, the inbox. So keep your eyes out, Lakers. Have an excellent rest of your day. Thank you so much for coming and listening to everything we have to say today. And yeah, get out and vote. Thank you all so much.
Again, I remind everyone to hold applause. I did see some hands ready to go till the very end of closing remarks. I will now invite up Nicholas for his closing.
So just from what you've heard, like I've got a lot of experience in this. I have a great passion for this position and just what we do here at NUSU. I really would love to be able to help my goals. So continue to increase the sponsorship, work to improve our health plan, as well as to decrease confusion, increase support for our student groups. Because I want to provide a union and services that works for students. I would love your vote, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. I will now go to Jaden for her closing remarks.
Of course, first and foremost, thank you so much for being here. Even seeing a little bit more folks here than last year means we're moving slowly, but still moving in the right direction. So thank you again. Very similar to Owen, I know, but I also in my first year when I completed O week, right in the first week, I looked at NUSU and NUSU sessions and I said, I'm going to be there. I want to be your student voice. I want to be able to help each and every one of you folks be heard, be seen, and advocate for what exactly every student needs. So I have so much passion and I have like a sense or a need for justice and making sure that we feel heard and that we are empowered. And I really want to continue to do that. I have experience in a variety of different departments here at the school, so I get to see a wide range of students. And I'm ultimately here for every single one of you, for the folks in the room, online, and for the folks who aren't here today. I just, like I said, want to make sure that every single person is comfortable here, included in the decision making. You guys are all valued members of our community, and I want to just ensure that you guys feel seen and heard. So, thank you.
Thank you. And final closing remarks, Logan.
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to let me speak here today, and also to hopefully bring forward a new perspective into NUSU this year, or I guess for next year. I hope that I've been able to show you how much I care about the students, and that's reflected in what you might do that consider voting for me. Voting is super important, so I really hope that everyone gets out there and does it February 2nd to 4th. And I also encourage you, this session is being recorded, I've been informed. So share this and make sure that everyone else is informed as they can be. And I want to make sure that everyone's making informed decisions when they're voting. So thank you so much for the opportunity. Have a great day.
And now a round of applause for all of our candidates. So I do first want to thank all of the candidates for enduring the questions and the trial and error on the seed round. Hopefully we will be able to do that again next year. I want to thank all of the audience members, both in person and the dozen or so who've been joining us online for participating tonight. And I want to encourage you all to get out and vote. Yes, voting opens February 2nd at 10 a.m. And it closes Wednesday, February 4th at 11:59 p.m. You'll receive an email from the Office of Institutional Planning and Analysis with a link to vote. I also want to let you know there is another opportunity to directly meet and greet with candidates in person this Friday, January 30th from 1:30 to 2:30 in the Lakers Lounge. There will be some snacks there. It's a chance to more informally ask questions, get to know them. We will also hopefully have some of our candidates for the student senator and director at large positions there if they're able to join. Which I do want to acknowledge that we have elections not just for the executive director positions, but for those positions as well. And we will, yes, be holding by-elections, in fact, this winter to fill the remaining 8 seats on the board of directors of NUSU, as well as the 1 vacant student senator seat that remains, with hopes of filling all of those seats. So if someone in the audience, if that sounds like maybe that's a role that you're interested in, or if you know someone who might be a really great fit to start at their time in the student union's board, or on Senate, this would be the time to get them involved. So stay tuned for details on that. We'll have that out within the next week or so. But in the meantime, remember to vote, stay engaged. Thank you, Noah, for participating tonight. And yes, this debate will be posted online, hopefully by tomorrow or so that you can watch back if you would like to and share with others. Hope you all have a great night. Don't forget to vote. And we will see you at the candidates and throughout the campaign. And thank you to Nicole and our staff for helping us. If there is any remaining pizza, please take it.